before we jump into this last story, I want to tell you about a product company that is near and dear to my heart, Rise Lentless. The reason it's so close to my heart is because it's my baby. Rise Lentless sells fun coffee mugs for entrepreneurs, side
Fun,
hustlers, all
fun.
of us that dare to dream.
Dare to used fun and dare to dream. These are
Uh-huh.
two words, folks, that he has made fun of me for saying
That's correct.
forever.
That's correct.
Forever. Okay?
That is why I put them there. But let's
You know
jump
what?
into
If this
this.
was a different day and age, I would call you a couple of things, but I'm not gonna.
Are you trying to get us banned from Twitter? Oh my gosh, dude! Or like, I'm like, are you trying to get us banned from YouTube,
No, 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 I'm
Spotify?
not. All right,
Okay,
all right, all right, all right. Where
it's
are we
like,
going?
listen, my brown power can only get us so far. Okay, you have to keep it. You have to keep it in check. All right,
Brown power.
right.
What's that?
Start engine. Now, this is one of those other fancy stories that Big Man brought to me. I'm not really allowed to bring these stories. You mostly have to stay out of my way when it comes
That
to
is
things.
true. That is true.
Um, but this is a
But even
company
a
that
blind squirrel finds a nut every now and then. That's
that's
all I'm saying.
correct. This is such an interesting website. Start Engine is, I think it's one of the largest, it's not the only, crowdfunding platforms that offers average Joe the opportunity to be a venture capitalist.
Well, so when I brought this story to you, Danny's very first reaction was, "How is this legal?"
And I'm a guy who says nothing should be illegal, right?
But you're right in that. Look, if you don't know, most venture capitalists have to be registered. They have to be, you know what I mean. You have to.
If you have to become this country to invest on a large scale,
Mm-hmm.
there's that old adage, the rich get richer. And this is actually one of the reasons this contributes to that, right?
Right.
It's because a lot of these huge venture capital firms, your Sequoias, your Andreessen Horowitz, is these larger firms. They have this propensity and to survive and staying power because they make a lot of medium-sized bets on a lot of companies.
Mm-hmm.
And these are asymmetrical investments. I don't even call them investments. These are bets. Your boy Danny loves to gamble. Okay.
Right.
This is one way you can gamble. It's not a vice. You don't have to hide it from your pastor at church.
But you have to
Isn't it?
become to
An
even join
accredited
those
investor.
companies.
Yeah.
You have to become an accredited investor, which means you have to give them a certain amount of money. You have to do a certain amount of things.
And
Yada yada.
it also means that you have to have a certain amount of net worth and you have to have a certain
Mm-hmm.
amount of income. In the
That's
United
right.
States, I think right now you have to be at a minimum of $250,000 a year or $1 million net worth, or you can make a lot of the asymmetrical investments. People are getting filthy rich, where money is raining from the sky. They're on a yacht off the coast of Fiji doing God knows what with God knows who. Have to be an
That is
accredited
the
investor.
definition of rich getting richer, right?
Right.
So what this
Because
company
the
has done
government, by the way, the
somehow.
government is protecting poors. Okay, they're trying to protect the poors from accidentally falling butt backwards into some money.
Into $5 million, and then
That's
yeah,
correct.
no, look.
Off of $100,000 investment.
So somehow this company has bypassed that accredited investor venture
They
capitalist
haven't
rule.
bypassed it. This article that I'll link to is they have Reg CF, Reg A plus, and Reg D, and there's three different regulations. So some of their investments fit into different regulatory
So they're
compartments.
loopholing it. They're loopholing it
Yeah,
somehow, right?
effectively,
And until
effectively.
until somebody loses too much or somebody makes too much, they'll probably continue to let it happen. But essentially, you can go to this website. It works very similar to all the other crowdfunding
Kickstarter and
websites, Kickstarter, whatever.
and the reason I asked Big Man is this legal is because I literally called a lawyer once, an attorney that I worked with, and I said, "Hey, I have an idea for a company, a website where you can list your ideas, startup idea, pre-revenue. It's basically how do we democratize Shark Tank? Okay,
Right.
pre-revenue, pre-concept, pre-whatever, and you're just trying to you're in the prototyping phase, and you're trying to raise $50,000 for prototype because you're allowed to raise friends and family money that doesn't have the same regulatory burdens that you might from public or money otherwise. And so I was like, how do you do that? And he literally just didn't, he emailed me back, and I paid a lot of money just to get the email. And it was basically like, there's no way around it. There's no way you can do this.
Right, exactly. Which
And
is
that
where
killed
like
my interest
Kickstarter
right there.
Kickstarter came from and stuff like that, was their ability to loophole it. So Start Engine, you can go on there right now. It has 100+ different companies for different prices, starting as low as $100. Will sell you shares at different costs, and obviously they have different plans, just like Kickstarter. So here's what got me. I had no idea about Start Engine, where it came from, whatever. I found out about it. Somebody told me about essentially a beer brewing company that was growing.
Okay.
And the link they sent me was on this Start Engine site. And it's basically nothing real new. They call themselves a technology beer company, but really, they're a beer company that uses flat screen computers, tablets, to track your data. So if I go and use this company to buy different craft beers, the data behind it is going to start telling them what kind of beers I like, what kind of things like that, and they're going to be able to suggest beers, right? And if I
Right.
buy, if I send in, I think if it was a $5,000, if I gave them $5,000, I got 5,000 shares, and I got a beer named after me, right? That's very Kickstarter-y kind of stuff,
Yeah.
right? So it has different levels, but for as little
A
as
whole beer
$100,
named after you?
hey, the big man beer. I've always wanted big man beer. Anyway, the point is for a
It's all
hundred
foam,
dollars,
I bet. You bet you open the bottle and it's all foam.
it's all folk. For $100, you would get 100 shares of this beer company, right?
Right.
And if it ever become anything, you would have 100 shares of it, or
Right.
200 shares of it, or whatever. Now that sounds like, hey, that's a great deal, right?
Right.
The problem is this company, by using these loopholes, Start Engine, is not claiming any responsibility for anything. Meaning, you give them $1,000 and that company never shows anything, never makes it to NASDAQ, never whatever.
Anything.
You never see a dollar, okay?
Right.
You may never see a dollar. It's highly speculative, right?
So, and let me just say this much, as I've said just a few minutes ago. Danny likes to gamble.
Well, and that's what this is.
So when the big man showed me this website, and these people did what I didn't bother to do, which is go, well, this lawyer's an idiot. Find another lawyer, right? Keep talking to people. Keep investigating. Okay, figure out how to do this, how to do it. I'm gonna go on here and invest in a couple things.
Well, Start Engine, at the very least, they are doing
You got
one thing.
$1,000.
Yeah.
Okay, you like I said, you like to gamble. This is interesting to me because this is interesting because I could absolutely see myself. I'm just gonna tell you a couple things right now that's on the website. A Reg A, it's a Store-in Technologies renewable energy storage, $480 minimum investment. Autonomous security robots, $500 minimum investment.
Mm-hmm.
A robotics orthopedics company, the future of joint replacement, $250, right? But and listen, $250 minimum investment. That's interesting to me. I want to do it. Here's my question: if your idea is so good, and you're a believable entrepreneur,
Mm-hmm.
you're telling me there's a venture capitalist that wants to shower you in money?
Dude, look, Amazon started out as a book selling company,
Right.
right? I mean, we did it not too long ago, right? We talked about how Amazon started, how these different companies started. The point is you. I know you don't like sports references, but in the NFL they talk every day about
I don't.
how
It's not that I don't like them. I don't get them.
but the point is how there are some NFL people in the Hall of Fame in the NFL that were from Division 2 and Division 3 schools, not the big schools. So how are we evaluating talent if somebody makes it to the Hall of Fame that never got a real shot? And one of those is and they say it every year, this time of year when the draft is around the corner, is how is the NFL evaluating talent any differently today when so many number one draft picks are out of the league in 3 years or whatever. This is the same thing. I think you're going to have companies that fall through the cracks. Netflix tried to sell themselves to Blockbuster. Netflix almost didn't happen, right? It almost fell apart when they were just mailing DVDs out to people,
right,
and stuff like that. They in the very beginning. So when you think about that, the one thing I was going to say about this company, at least from what I've read so far, prides itself on making sure one thing about these companies,
right,
that they're real companies, right? That they're real companies, that they exist. You shouldn't come across anything on here that is not, just a nice fancy somebody threw together a great video, right? You run across these on Kickstarter and some of these other crowdfunding sites.
Right,
it's very easy to set up.
But the thing about crowdfunding on Kickstarter and other places, that you're not getting any equity. You're just helping somebody make a product and they walk away with the equity, right? You're putting up the capital and you're putting up the risk. And what happens in the end? I think there's a YouTuber, I can't remember the name off the top of my head, and he was just like, there was a cooler that went up on Kickstarter. And guess what happened? Took the Kickstarter money, they developed the cooler. People who put up their money on Kickstarter got the cooler after it went wide and it was on Amazon, and you could just go order one on Amazon Prime. And they were delivering to Amazon Prime customers before they were delivering to Kickstarter customers. By the way, made their business, brought it to fruition with
reality. Yeah, absolutely.
So this is more interesting because I'm buying a piece.
Well, here's the sectors in it, and I'm sure these are by design. What they're calling clean technology, food and beverage, robotics, sports, and transportation.
Oh, I'm
those
interested
are the only
in some
ones.
Of those. Yeah, I'm interested. No,
absolutely. I mean, look, this is, to me, I like you. I was actually really surprised, and we must have caught this very early, because I've seen, other than what my buddy sent me, I've seen no marketing on this.
Right.
I did not know StartEngine as a name. Yeah. You didn't know it, right?
That's correct. I, in this pairing of idiots versus idiots, am the savant. I know everything.
Well, savant's a strong word. But, I mean, not only did you and I not know about it existing at all, you and I didn't think it was possible to exist. And then on top of that, it's got 100+ companies, opportunities on here that of companies I've never heard of. That's very difficult in 2021 to come across something you've never heard of in any fashion. Like, I don't know of an alternate business that's doing this. I don't know of any of that.
And I'd be fascinated to learn more. And like I said, this is
I'm sending an email to StartEngine. Be like, y'all need to sponsor the Idiots versus Idiots podcast. 100%. We've never heard of you, but we need to, and you need help getting your message out, because we're a business news and marketplace podcast that's never heard anything like what you're doing.
Right, absolutely. But nonetheless, I think it's a fascinating concept, and I think it's going to democratize venture capital on both ends of the spectrum, for the investor and for the people who need the capital. And listen, you're right with your NFL comparison, which I understood, that there could be a couple of fledgling ideas out there. Listen, I think it was Kevin O'Leary who's on, like, if you go pull up the website, the first thing you see is his bald, shiny head. And he said, if Elon Musk had come to me with Tesla in its early stages, I would have never given him money. So I guess that kind of, and I'm a value investor. I'm always out there looking for asymmetrical investments. So maybe this is somewhere where this to me makes this website to me makes far more sense than the entire stock market casino.
Some of these investments makes more sense to me than Lucid or Rivian we talked about earlier on this podcast, because for $100 I can buy 100 shares of this beer company or whatever. It might be a more sound investment than anything that I could buy in these car companies for $100. But
absolutely,
look, I will tell you this. I don't know, and again, I said this earlier when we first started. This company, Start Engine, is either going to lose a certain amount of money that draws a red flag, or it's going to make a certain amount of money that's going to draw a red flag. That's the traditional market will come looking. Right?
That's right.
They're going to leave it alone until
For
one of
now.
those two things happening,
Right.
and then they're
And
going to go, whoa, 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 whoa.
and in recent memory, all we have to do is look back a few weeks to this company called Robinhood and a stock called
Yep.
GameStop. And all we have to do is look back and go, well, that was interesting. No one could have predicted or foreseen those events.
Right. And
And
what did they do? They went, no, 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 no. But here's the other part of that. I want people, when they
how
look at
dare
this
you,
kind of
regular? What's that?
when they look at companies like this, and this is investments in general, folks, is you do not have to invest in the next Amazon to get rich.
Right.
People forget that. They think that, again, this goes back to that home run mentality, right? I have to hit a home run. No, 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 no. You can make a great living off of that company, and that metaphor gets to first base. If they get to be a real company spreading their services out to, they can make a lot of money, and you can be an owner in that, and you can make a lot of money. They don't have to become Amazon or Walmart or,
Yeah,
stuff like that to make you a lot of money.
So let me give an example. I love listening to a lot of podcasts about real estate and real estate investing. And I was listening to one, and they're interviewing a guy, and he says, "Well, I don't actually do any hands-on investment. I spread my investment capital across a handful of different funds, and it just gives me free time and all this other stuff." And he's like, "Guess what? If I pick the right funds and I spread my money across these funds the correct way, yeah, I'm going to get the same kind of returns. You don't have to hit a grand slam every time. You just have to make it to the next level, and then you take that money out." So some of these companies, like when Big Man brought me the story, he's like, "Listen, some of these companies may never hit the market. They may just get acquired." And guess what?
Absolutely. You still get paid?
If I listen, there is nothing more interesting to me than if I buy into if I invest, the company never gets to market and I get paid anyway. That's a home run to me.
Dude, like the math we were just talking about, whatever beer company it was, again, I don't remember the name on there, and I wouldn't promote them right now and get into all that stuff right now anyway, but the point is they were essentially offering you $1 a share, right? Let's say they don't make it to market. Let's say they make it into, I think they were currently in 2 or 3 restaurants. Let's say they make it into 100 restaurants. Yeah. And then somebody, Anheuser-Busch, whoever, comes in and buys up, basically they're buying their technology. They don't want their beer, but they want the technology that they're in. They're buying up their market share for $500 million, $500 million. Right. I guarantee I'm going to get more than my dollar per share.
Of course.
On that. That's why sometimes these small investments spread out. Again, I would never tell anybody to risk money they don't have. We've talked about it.
I wouldn't tell anybody to invest in something just because I think it's a good idea.
Absolutely. Do your own due diligence.
That's correct, because I have an extremely abnormal view of the world and society. I'm making bets on what I think is correct. Now, let's throw this out there. Again, I love referring back to this in closing of our lovely program here. There was a handful of investors in 2006 and 2007 or 2005, 2006 and 2007 and 2008 betting against the United States' housing market. Mm-hmm. It made absolutely no sense. In the movie Big Short, he skipped the part about where the housing market was entirely inflated by government banks, but get that for a moment.
Still a good movie, done in a very good way.
It's fantastic. There's that scene where Batman goes into the bank. Batman's playing a doctor, and they're laughing at him like, we're a bank. The line was, "Sir, this is a bank. If you want to give us money, we're going to take it. But no one should bet against the housing market. It doesn't make sense." This was at the height of the boom. And there was somebody there who looked at the fundamentals and said, "I'm going to bet against it." And those people walked away with untold sums, untold fortunes, incalculable volumes of. So, this is something that you're interested in. This is a rabbit hole that you go down. And you just fall down this rabbit hole. That's the only choice you have. And you go, and it puts you in a position as an investor, as an entrepreneur, to get on the other side of the cash flow quadrant. If you're working a job, if you're working from home, and like, listen, I don't want to be chained to this desk forever, and you have $5,000, listen, it might be worth it to go out there and play. It might be worth it to you. Say, hey, maybe this is a place, this is a playground where I can play. Sometimes people underestimate the value of being a big dog, of being a big fish in a little pond. People highly underestimate the value of being the guy who's doing a thing in a small town. Right?
Well, never underestimate being a guy, a person doing a thing, because action is the only thing that matters in today's world. Okay, so first of all, that's it. You never want to be that person that did nothing and then saw other people that do things succeed, right? It feels horrible, right? We've all done it at some point in our lives. But I would encourage everyone, like you said, to go down the rabbit hole if this is something you're thinking about, because here's the worst that can happen in this case. You invest $100, you go down the rabbit hole, you lose $100, but you learned. $100 is one night of eating out. It's a date night. $100 is less than you would spend to go to a 3-day seminar somewhere, right? Or whatever. So invest in yourself, go down the rabbit hole, and do something.
And let me add this along there too. If you watched people make it rich in crypto, you watched this last stock bubble, and you knew people who got wealthy or made money, made $70,000-$100,000 off of one trade. You're like, dang it, how come that wasn't me? This is your opportunity to be the thing, right? I got into an industry when I was younger, the direct selling or network marketing industry. Never made a penny from it. But the mentality that I garnered from that industry was selling products I don't own, selling products I'm not responsible to maintain or recover or whatever. It completely shifted the course of my life for the better, right? The mentality that I gained from there. And listen, how much money did I spend on the industry? I don't know, $3,000. I've blown $3,000 on way dumber things. So,
you went to college, didn't you?
Yeah, with no upside. There was.
You spent more than $3,000 on college, didn't you? And I bet you there was
somebody else.
But you also somebody spent more than $3,000 on a class that you took that I guarantee you didn't teach as much as what you learned in that experience.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying all college classes, but there was at least one or two that you probably didn't learn as much as you would.
The majority of them. The majority of them.
You know what I mean? So, and again, so I don't want anybody to say Big Man doesn't like degrees or education. I'm a lifelong learner. I believe in education. I just don't know that it's worth $50,000 and don't prepare you for anything.
Boy. Here we go.
But my point still is
not the
with
rabbit hole.
StartEngine.
Yeah, that's right.
No.
That's not the rabbit hole we want to go down. I think we've covered everything. I just want to send everyone off here with a life hack. You can add days onto your life and your life expectancy by avoiding videos and articles about life hacks.
God, dear God, at some point we're going to have to stop this. It's just...
No, we're not.
It's awful.
There's no we here. There's only me.
My God, you're an idiot.
You are too.
We'll see you next time, folks.
Bye.